Wow, feels like months since I've been online. Been really busy at the garden. Haven't had any time at all to do one of these Second Life videos. So, I'm just in my regular LEA hangout spot, which I'll actually. The reason I'm going to paste this SL URL into the chat is because there's some really cool stuff going on here right now. Some really neat exhibits. I don't normally plug LEA, but I think it's kind of worth it to come and check it out. I know I was telling you guys earlier that this green box over here in the corner is my friend Patricia Ann's workstation, and she does these incredibly tiny dioramas using what is sort of like a lost art and a lost technology in Second Life, which is called micro prims, where it's like every or tortured prims they're also called. Everything that everything that you used to be able to make in Second Life was. Just a sec, I need to check and make sure my stream's actually working. Yeah, okay. Everything that you would used to make in Second Life would be made out of prims, which are like the integrated geometry that was sort of oh my god, I'm having so much trouble like talking today. I had the weirdest dream this morning. It was so weird. I didn't sleep well last night, and I did that thing where, you know, everybody does this, like you wake up really early in the morning and you're like, yeah, time to get up, and you feel great, and then something happens and you like fall back asleep, and I guess it's called sleep inertia, and it really messes you up. Like, it's almost like your body thinks it's nighttime again and you're gonna have a whole nother full night's sleep. And so it really messes with your brain and stuff. So yeah, anyway, this dream I had was so weird. I was sitting on the my couch with my partner in my usual spot, and she's sitting next to me, and then all of a sudden there's like this earthquake thing happening. God, that's so tiny. And the cushion that she's sitting on starts to shake like crazy, and and then all of a sudden, from nowhere, like erupts this auger, like this giant auger drill bit, like comes bursting out of the couch cushion and like shoots up towards the ceiling. I mean, this thing is gigantic, like as big as a shovel at least, and probably a bit longer. And yeah, it was terrifying. And then it like sinks back down into the ground, or into the, like, through the floor, through the couch, through the floor, and back into the ground, just like leaving a suspicious large hole behind. And I was just like, in this dream, I was like terrified. We were both terrified, like, what's going on? Like, to have your like house completely like invaded by this foreign object, like drilling through your couch from below. I'm like, what's going on? Are like the mole men attacking or something? Yeah, it was intense. Anyway, I got a little off topic there. So yeah, back in the heyday Second Life, everything was made out of prims. This is before mesh, and prims are limited. Let me show you something here. Like, here's a God, what the hell? Mega lag today. There we go. Yeah, so here's a prim, and like the smallest you can make this is oh, whoops. Ugh, God, I am just not thinking today. That was the position. What I meant is I think this, okay, so look at this. This is really interesting. Like, there's another digit place here, but if I do 0.0001, wait, that's too far. There we go. Like, see, it can't make the prim any smaller than that. That's 1 centimeter, or is that millimeter? Yeah, that's 1 centimeter cubed. So like 1 cubic centimeter, right? And that's as small as you can make a prim in Second Life under normal means. I'm just going to bring this up here so you can see a size comparison here. So like, this is theoretically the absolute smallest of an object that you can make using the built-in modeling system. And yet, look at the objects within this snow globe that Patricia Ann made. These are like 1/100th the size, even smaller than that in some instances, than that 1 centimeter cube. Like, some of these are probably even like 1/10 of a millimeter in size, right? So how do you do that? It's like crazy. You have to tweak all these other features. Like, you change the primitive type. Like, it's so complicated. Anyway, you do all this stuff, and they call it torturing the prim. So where you trick the system into creating this super micro prim, and then you build stuff, and it's like, it's literally torture. I mean, it's not just that you're torturing the prim, you're torturing yourself, because it is so hard to build with these tiny little nano prims. And that's all Patricia Ann does. She like makes these incredible dioramas and sculptures and little like these things, like little towns and stuff, that she builds it all out of microprims. It's amazing. Anyway, like, yeah. So that's kind of a cool thing. She doesn't always have this stuff out. A lot of times, I think she's just kind of taking it easy and watching over the sandbox, so she doesn't have a lot of time to like actually play around with her craft. But when she does have her stuff out, it's totally worth taking a look at. So yeah, like as I was saying earlier, lots of interesting, weird, surrealist stuff going on in LEA. I have no idea what any of this stuff means. Maybe only the artist knows what it means. Oh, this is probably the Yellow Vest riots in France. I'm just guessing because that looks like a French flag, and they're like burning all the school buses and stuff. Yeah, let me just zoom out here. I'm not gonna walk around because honestly it just takes too long. This one's really cool. I don't know. Let's see, who does this? Melody Hart? Yeah. I've seen her work before in LEA, and it always kind of like blows my mind. This one in particular is fascinating. Like, who knows what it means. Like, all of these animals are standing around this tree, which is covered with televisions and satellite dishes. I don't know, it's just it's thought-provoking, while also kind of being like who knows what it means, but it's cool. It's definitely cool. I like how this flamingo's standing out here on the sort of outskirts. So yeah, if you have Second Life running or install, and you can just click on that SL URL and check this stuff out for yourself. Oh, whoa. I can't tell. Ugh, sorry. I can't tell what's an avatar and what's a bot, or what's just a mesh dancing thing. Like, these are... Yeah, these are just like objects, but they look very similar to avatars. I don't know how that works with the dancing animation. That's pretty sophisticated. Yeah, there's some other cool stuff in this direction. This one's kind of interesting, also sort of thought-provoking. Like a globe surrounded by aircraft, like darkening the skies. I don't know what it means, but it's interesting. That one's a little more basic, so it's not quite as fascinating as the one with the tree and the animals. So these are also some kind of bot. This is actually a really standard animation in Second Life. It's when your avatar like falls asleep and goes into away mode. It just kind of like slumps forward like that. So they're scripted to play that animation. This is just, who knows what the hell that is. The one I really liked, like this is kind of cool too, but the one I really liked was over here, which it's also like all of these are fairly surreal and not like super explanatory. They're very open to interpretation. Like you could probably interpret these in a lot of different ways. For me, this was just like, oh, the earth is like an apple and someone is eating it, and that's very like symbolic of the way humans are kind of like devouring the earth. Don't really know what the dog symbolizes, but the dog has like a little satellite dish on its doghouse, like for DirecTV or whatever. So maybe that's like saying that humans are like dogs who just like to watch TV and destroy the earth, or who knows. But this is really cool. This is it's like the earth wearing a gas mask. I mean, there's definitely like an ecological undertone, I feel like, to these pieces. Mortality is a protection for immortality. Not really sure what that's supposed to mean. Ugh, creepy enemy. Enemy titties. Oh my god. So yeah, there's more abstract stuff happening over here in this sim. Wow, this is just like mathematical constructs. Whoa. Yeah, this honestly, this is a little less coherent than the kind of artwork that I usually like. But I mean, I say that, but the truth is, like, this is really cool. Like, I was very like drawn to this exhibit. This is the kind of like mathematical abstraction that Second Life is really adept at. Wow, that looks like E8. Adept at. Either that or a Sierpinski fractal. Yeah, Second Life is like almost like made for this kind of surrealist artwork. This reminds me of my friend Meth something or other. Can't remember his name. Matthias. Oh, it looks like it's somebody named Raleigh. Yeah, and the only reason I tend to not be so excited about this kind of artwork is because it's like you're really depending mostly on just geometry and patterns. I think it's kind of like cheating in a way, because it's very easy to create something that is like amazing and complex by just repeating specific geometric forms and scripting them with color and lights and stuff like that. I mean, it's like a lot harder to create like you know, complicated geometry that has like a lot of structure, and like even something like this takes a lot more time and effort than just copying a circle over and over again and scripting it to move in a algorithmic way. But that being said, like I was saying, I was kind of blown away by the just like the dazzling sort of cool look of everything in that art sim. There's just so much to see in Second Life. This one time I remember like very distinctly. I was over at my friend's house and we just had our like weekly LAN party. We used to meet every Friday, me and about 6 other guys. Every Friday night we'd meet over at his house. All of us had our own computers, and I donated like 3 or 4 spare computers that I had just lying around at the time to him, and he had one of his buddies who was like a carpenter put in this long table, and we had like a gigabit LAN network, and we played games like all night long sometimes, usually till about like 3 or 4 a.m. though, mostly. The cool thing was these guys were like, I was the youngest guy there. In fact, I was like, I don't know, 20, 23 or something at the time. They were all like 40, 50, 60 years old. They were like these old fuckers, but man, they had stamina. Like seriously, we'd play like Counter-Strike or Warcraft 3. We played so many games, hundreds of games, and we played, you know, till the early hours of the morning, and it was a blast. Let's see, why was I going off on that whole story? I know I had some kind of reason for telling that story. Wow, just completely went out of my head. That's the kind of day that I've been having. Something in the vicinity that I was looking at triggered. Oh, this is cool, like a deconstructed that's cool. Yeah, sometimes it's just best to say that's cool and not elaborate any farther, especially when I'm being this super eloquent as I have been today. God, why in the hell was I telling that story? This is gonna bother me all day now. Oh, there's some cool boats. This is rad. Like a steampunk. Uh-oh. That's beautiful. That's really cool. Yeah, LEA is just covered with stuff right now. Like, I guess the grants, all the granted sims finally went through. So everybody is set up their sim. Ugh. Yeah, I'm still thinking about that LAN party thing. Okay, forget that. Whatever. Okay, we're gonna do the dance. We're gonna open the world map and try to find a random sim somewhere that looks interesting. Go there and see what's happening. And as always, remember, like, feel free to type something into the chat box. Like if you're if you see something interesting, just put it in the chat and I'll go investigate and so forth. This looks kind of interesting. Fantasy Dialyes? I don't know. There's a lot of for sale bits in here, so I kind of want to avoid those. Okay, Pacifique. This looks kind of cool. Yeah, there's a few people in this sim. Wow, 8 people. That's kind of a lot of traffic. Okay, we're gonna try this one out. Hey, it's not locked down. That's always nice. Ugh, I always land in the water. Like, what was my avatar, like a mermaid in a previous life or something? Oh, maybe this is an underwater sim. I'm seeing a lot of stuff over there. Yeah, so here's the SLURL, and let's see if I can, if there's a actual ground. Okay, here we go. Pacific, I guess, yeah, it says Pacific, but it's spelled with a Q-U-E. I've seen that before in Second Life. It's like a thing. People like to spell common words in a unique way. Winter ice skate, snowman, Christmas sleigh, tour ride, ice skate, hot air balloon. Oh, it's just like a bunch of keywords, blah blah blah. So, group owned. Yeah, that's about all there is to that. Anyway, we're underwater. Oh yeah, let's see if I can turn the sound back on. Okay, a waterfall underwater. That's like some SpongeBob shit right there. I guess in theory you could have a waterfall underwater if it wasn't water, or if it was I know there's this phenomenon in like some oceans where there's a freshwater layer, inversion layer, like on top of a salt water layer, or like a hot water layer on top of a cold water layer, where it can create the illusion of sliding sheets of water underwater because of the density difference or thermal difference. But an actual waterfall underwater, I'm pretty sure you'd have to like you'd have to be using like some other type of liquid that had completely different properties. Okay, let's see if I can ride the sea dragon. Touch for rideable sea dragon. I'm touching. I'm all over this. Well, it made a cool noise. Try sitting down. That didn't work. Alright. Not everything works in Second Life. Oh, those rays are cool. I can't click on them for some reason. Oh, they're just sprites. Oh, there's a lot of stuff happening in this sim. What the fuck are those? Seals? It's kind of a weird trajectory. They look like they're just like a paper airplane or something. Full bread on that seaweed. Oh, this is kind of cool. It's like an octopus lantern holder. Oh, the donation box, huh? Okay, let's see. What kind of a donation box is this? Or like it doesn't even work? Ugh, even I know how to script a crappy donation box that actually works. Crystals, seaweed, ancient structures. I swear to God, the waterfall thing is just tripping me out. Like, ugh. Yeah, so it's storming here today. That's why I ended up back home kind of early. This time of year, I normally work. Oh, that's kind of cool. Work like 8 hours a day, and I'm so tired when I get home from work. I'm just like, I fall asleep, I take a nap. But today it was storming, so I was like, screw this, I'm not gonna work outside in the rain. The only thing I had on my task list today was to plant a whole bunch of sunflowers I've been nursing through the winter. And I was excited about that, but at the same time, like, not ideal conditions. So that's why I'm in Second Life right now. Wow, I actually remembered the point of the story I was telling for once. Right, I'm getting sick of being underwater. Oh my god, there's a lot happening here. Frame rate's... I need to see what's going on here with the frame rate. Statistics bar. Forget the FPS. It's actually a reasonable data rate, but like 7 frames per second? That's horrible. Whoa, that's cool. It's like a Day of the Dead flamingo. That's awesome. I don't see who made this. La Amor. Oh, it's part of the group. Oh no. Push the wrong button. I swear I got this cheap ass Amazon keyboard at a thrift shop because my old keyboard was actually really cool. It was one of those high visibility keyboards for old people with like the bright fluorescent yellow keys and the giant oversized type, which I got just because I thought it was so cool. And I do a lot of my computing late at night, so I thought having a high visibility keyboard would be kind of nice, and it was, but it wasn't really like industrial grade. It was one of those as seen on TV sort of things. As I'm just like wandering around a dungeon, I'm talking about my keyboard purchases. Yeah, anyways, so the paint for the keys, oh, this is cool. Oh, this is like taking me down into a subterranean grotto that probably interfaces with the underwater area I was in before. Yeah, so all the letters and numbers and stuff started to wear off the keyboard, so it became like one of those elite coder keyboards where you couldn't actually, you had no idea, like it was blind, you had no idea what keys you were on because all the letters were gone. These are nice crystals. These are really nice. Although it looks like the geometry is not solid. Yeah, so, and then I spilled coffee on it, like, to add insult to injury. Okay, some keys. Someone just left their keys lying around. Oh, that's cool, there's like a dungeon map. Yeah, so that was the end of that keyboard. And so, like, for months, I'm, like, literally pounding on the keys, because that was the only way to get them to work. It's so funny. Like, that's how poor I am. No, I went on, like, Newegg, and I was, like, looking through all their keyboards, and, like, the keyboard market is ridiculous nowadays. It's like, you hardly can find a keyboard that... I'm just going in circles. You can hardly find a keyboard nowadays that doesn't have, like, 10,000 media buttons on it, or volume controls. I just wanted the absolute bare bones keyboard with like nothing but F1 keys and a number pad and like nothing else, no special keys, something that was attractive. But it's like, I swear to God, you go to Newegg and it's like all you can find on there are like RGB IBM style keyboards with like giant keys that cost like $300, and even the cheapo bare bones keyboards have like media keys and all this stuff on them. So then I was like, screw this, I'm just gonna wait until I find some junky keyboard at the thrift shop, because every weekend me and my partner, we go to the 3 local thrift shops and we do what we call a thrift crawl, and we go to each thrift shop in turn and we look for the cool stuff, and sometimes we buy things. Most of the time we find nothing worth buying. I love peacocks, by the way, they're just so awesome. If I ever own a giant estate somewhere, I'm definitely gonna have plenty of peacocks and peahens running around, because they're just so cool. Wow, this is a nice swing. That's beautiful. I can't even sit up there. I'm just gonna hang out here while swinging while I explore the sim. Cute owls. Yeah, so back to the keyboard story. So anyway, like, for months, literally months, I'm like, every time I go to the thrift shops, oh, beautiful sunflowers. Are those, wow, they use sprites for the leaves, really? Huh. Oh no, that's geometry. Weird. Those are nice botanicals. Whoops. Yeah, so for months I was looking for a new keyboard, and all the keyboards were crap. I mean, like 99% of them were like old Dell keyboards, which is like, it's pretty incredible, but you find Dell computer stuff at thrift shops all the time. Like, I know during the 90s, Dell was like the shit. They even had a huge complex of sims in Second Life where you could build your own computer in like virtual reality. It was like the weirdest freaking thing. You could order computers through Second Life after you built them in 3D. Like, it was bizarre. It was crazy. Anyway, so like everybody and their dog's monkey's uncle bought a Dell computer, and so there was just like this huge glut on the market of that must be outside the sim boundaries. A huge glut of Dell computers and peripherals that just like flooded the world, or at least America, and probably the world too. But yeah, so when you go to thrift shops nowadays, like what, 20 years later, you always find Dell peripherals, Dell mice, Dell keyboards, sometimes even old Dell computers. Like, I see them practically every week. It's crazy, because, you know, I guess they're too old to really be good for anything other than like word processing. You probably can't even browse the internet on these old Pentium 2s or whatever they are. Pentium 4s, probably, more likely. Yeah, so I wasn't satisfied with any of those. I was like, Dell computers, like, the keyboards are solid, but they're a lot more complicated than they need to be. So anyway, to make a ridiculously and unnecessarily long story short, this is pretty nice here. I go to the thrift shop, and they have totally brand new in box an Amazon Basics keyboard and mouse combo, and it was like exactly what I was looking for. However, like, it's Amazon, right? And I'm boycotting Amazon because they don't treat their workers right, and they're like anti-union. They're just like a really fucked up company, and yeah, everybody uses Amazon, and every American is like hooked up with Amazon Prime and whatnot, just funneling billions and billions of dollars directly into Jeff Bezos' pocket. But whatever. I don't want to like. I want to avoid Amazon as much as possible. But it was a thrift shop, so I was like, well, I'm not actually paying for it, so I can justify it. And anyway, I hate to like actually endorse Amazon, but yeah, it's a great keyboard and a great mouse, and it's like chiclet keys, which is what I wanted, and just super minimal. Like no, let's see, it has a calculator button, volume up, down, and mute. It has a media button and a sleep button, I think. I don't know what that is. Just a little button with a computer icon on it. So yeah, it's tight, honestly. It's a great keyboard, and the mouse isn't half bad. I was a strong supporter of Microsoft optical mice for ages. Like, that was the only kind of optical mouse I would buy, because they were like, you could fix them yourself, you could open them up, modify them. I used to take out the red LEDs and put white LEDs in my Microsoft optical mice. They were just beautiful. I mean, the engineering is what I'm talking about. I don't know who was responsible for the particular era of Microsoft optical mice, but whoever those industrial designers and engineers were, they were at the top of their game. I mean, you pop those things open, it's just like, it's a work of art how like amazingly well designed everything is. Like all the little plastic clips, everything like is detachable. So yeah, that's and I mean, they were just a great product. They performed really well, very ergonomic in your hand. So I was like a diehard Microsoft optical mouse fan, but I bought like 3 or 4 of them a couple years ago, just because the ones I had were really old, and a couple of them broke, like reasonably. Like, they broke because they were super old. They were practically disintegrating. So I was like, well, I'm gonna buy a few like in a volume sale, so that I can like always have these super high quality mice that I love forever, and that I'll never run out. So I bought like a few of them, and they were like brand new. They were like the 2.0 version of the classic, but they were still like more or less the same. It wasn't like it wasn't like they'd radically altered the design. They just made a few tweaks, so I was like, oh, they're probably even better. And I was wrong. They actually weren't better. They weren't significantly worse. However, they had one massive flaw, and that was that the mouse wheel switch, so like middle click, you know, the mouse wheel works fine, but the middle click button is like a low quality switch. So normally those little clicker switches, they say that they last for 300,000 clicks, and that's like, just like with LEDs, when they say an LED's average lifespan is 300,000 hours. Like, it's a lie. That's an engineering quote. The truth is, the lifespan of an LED, if it's the voltage is correct and it's not stressed, is like forever. Like pretty much forever. Like the sun's gonna burn out before those LEDs do, pretty much. And it's the same with those micro switches. Oh, I need to get my flying under control here. I'm getting so excited telling the story that I'm just mashing every key on the keyboard. Oh my god. Alright. Come on. There you go. Yeah, so The truth is, those micro switches last for like a billion clicks. And I'm rough on my mice. Like, in fact, I was notorious at the LAN party for this thing called the mouse spank, where basically I would get really pissed off because I just got like killed in Counter-Strike or something, and I would like slam my mouse down really hard on the table. And I never broke a mouse that way. Wow, this is awesome. I wonder if I can actually sit up here. Sweet. I'm like riding this awesome sky whale with trees growing out of it. This is freaking awesome. I have never seen anything like this, and it has like snowflakes in the eyes. What? It blinks? Oh my god, this is cool. And the blowhole? God, amazing detail in this. Amazing. I am definitely going to see who made this. And the flippers even move. Wow, this is incredible. I haven't seen something like this in Second Life in a really long time. Yeah, so even with the mouse spanking, I never broke a mouse. I mean, I should have, but I never did. So you can believe me when I tell you that if a switch fails on a mouse, it's not because of abuse, and it's not because there's a lie in terms of the spec. It's because it's just an inferior piece of hardware. And so I had like 4 of these optical mice and Microsoft 2nd generation, and like the first thing that happens, like after, I don't know, not even a year of use, the middle clicker switch just starts going haywire. Like so you'd click, you'd do like a middle click to open like a new browser tab or something, and it would do like 6 clicks at once, like instantly. So like 6 new tabs would open. And like, of course, if you're 3D modeling, this is like really not ideal at all. Oh, look at those macaws down there. I'm gonna have to jump off of this thing at some point. Just sliding off. Yeah, so if you're 3D modeling and your mouse is doing like 10 clicks every time you tap a switch once, you're not going to be happy. Trust me, I was not happy. So anyway, I had this happen with 2 of these mice. So I knew it wasn't me, you know, I knew it was a flaw in the actual micro switch. And to be completely fair, I think that's totally unacceptable. Like in the modern era, when a component like a micro switch like that is so standard, it's so old. Like these micro switches have been around since like the 70s. Like there is no excuse to have a micro switch that has been, you know, consistently produced for like decades to fail. Like if anything, they should get more and more reliable. So clearly Microsoft was using subpar components. They were deliberately putting shitty, low quality, failure prone micro switches into their mice. And it wasn't like the right mouse button or the left mouse button would fail. It was just the middle button. This seems incredible. I mean, yeah, some of the graphics are a bit old, but like, damn, there's just some really kick-ass stuff on this sim. A little too close for comfort there, birdie. So yeah, so I don't feel comfortable supporting or endorsing Microsoft optical mice any longer. Well, that's cool. It opened up when I came past it, or was it already open? I'm not sure. Whoever did the landscaping on this sim, well done. This is just those look like Klein bottles. Weird. That's cool. That's so cool. There's grass growing out of the piano. That's rad. And ivy and stuff. Yeah, so Microsoft optical mice, bad. But this Amazon Basics optical mouse is great. I mean, it's not ergonomic. Okay, like the Microsoft, in terms of the shape of Microsoft optical mice, they couldn't be beat. It was like the perfect form factor. Like, it fit in your hand like almost like it just grew there organically. Like, it had always been there. Like, you were born with the optical mouse in your hand. Like, that's how well it fit. But these Amazon Basics mice are not comfortable. Like, it has some hard edges. It's got some weird, like, weirdly rounded parts that don't feel good. In fact, I feel like every time I use it, I feel like I'm getting carpal tunnel a little bit because my hand's like forced to contort in order to keep a grip on this thing. Come on. Getting hung up on the God rays so I can't zoom in on these chairs. Wicker hanging chairs. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so in terms of ergonomics, it's not ideal, but in terms of construction quality, it's the fact that none of the micro switches have failed is definitely a plus in that category. The nicest optical mouse, since we're talking about optical mice, and I might as well just keep going on this absolutely insane hour-long rant that I'm going on. The best optical mouse I ever had, ironically, was a Radio Shack mini optical mouse, and this is the only mouse that I've ever owned where they totally nailed the wheel, the middle mouse, the scroll wheel. Like, in most optical mice, they do the dumbest thing. The scroll wheel is it's like an actual wheel, like a wheel you would expect to roll on a road. It's convex instead of concave, and it's narrow, so it's like really uncomfortable. And often they put like little gripping lines on there to oh, this is kind of interesting and cool. They put little gripping lines on there to make it easier for your finger to like get a grip on it, but it's very rarely are they comfortable. But this Radio Shack optical mouse, which was like a mini, really tiny little mini optical mouse built for laptops, it had a concave scroll wheel that was about just the width of a human finger, not like super narrow, but like actually quite wide, and it was made out of this really nice, soft, silky kind of rubbery stuff that was just like a really pleasant texture. And anyway, like, it was the most ergonomic mouse that I've ever owned. And incidentally, the I think it was the left mouse button switch, micro switch, failed. And I love this mouse so much, I actually took it apart, took out the micro switch, and put in a new micro switch that I scavenged from a another piece of hardware that was totally broken. But the problem was, and I didn't realize it at the time, those micro switches, the specs are like insane. Like, they okay, fine. The specs are so precise that if you pair up two different micro switches, you can feel the difference between them for the amount of pressure that it takes for one micro switch to activate versus the other. And that was the problem. The micro switch that I'd replaced required a lot more pressure than the micro switch on the other side. Kind of an interesting psychological phenomenon, but what that did was it caused me to oh, come on, I want to dance. There we go. It caused me to have like a bias, and I would be like this is cool. I would be clicking with the left mouse button, and then I'd go to right click, and I wouldn't push it down hard enough because I was so used to the sort of expecting uniformity, and instead it was just too, it took like, you know, 3 pounds of pressure to make the left mouse button activate versus the 1 pound of pressure it took the right mouse button. So that like screwed everything up, and I couldn't use the mouse anymore. It was really upsetting, and I could have, you know, taken it apart and replaced both micro switches. I mean, if I was really determined, but honestly, it was just easier to buy another optical mouse. Technology sure is funny, isn't it? And manufacturing has always fascinated me. Like, that's cool. It's a garden gnome being carried off by whatever the fuck these things are. Creepy little sawmouth things. Garden gnomes are creepy though, aren't they? Like, seriously. Oh, they're like burying him, or yeah, I guess they're planting the garden gnomes. Yeah, it's really annoying that technology, like, if you buy a piece of technology and you absolutely love it, it's like you should cherish that, because technology evolves so fast and it's produced in such extreme quantities that pretty much the second you buy something, no matter what it is, it's become obsolete, and it's likely that it will never be produced again in a significant number. I mean, we're talking about, you know, like cell phone technology, computer technology. Oh, isn't that adorable? Little cat sleeping in a love box with a couple of flamingos just checking in to see that he's comfortable. Wow, those are really nice looking flamingos. Wow, that's some good detail there on those feathers. Cat doesn't look too thrilled. I think he just wants to be left alone, to be honest. No means no, flamingos. Oh, these creepy saw blade things are everywhere. What are these? Who knows? Yeah, this is a cool sim though. I definitely recommend coming here and exploring and stuff. There's a lot to see. I mean, I feel like I barely scratched the surface, and not to mention there's more than one surface. Like, you go under the water and there's a whole new world down there. There's all these caves. There's probably stuff in the sky too that I didn't even well, I don't know about that, maybe not. Anyway, yeah, this is a cool sim, this Pacific Pacific I want to like pronounce it in the French way or something. Yeah, so yeah, cherish your technology, because and take care of it too, because if you really like a piece of technology, chances are when it breaks, you're not going to be able to get a replacement. And like, you can only do so much in terms of repair before something is just gone forever. I really miss a lot of the technology that I had when I was younger that I didn't like properly appreciate. Yeah, so I think the stream's been going for almost an hour, and sorry for all you new people joining the stream, but I think I'm gonna probably call it quits for today. I'm getting a bit tired and hungry and so forth. So yeah, thanks for watching. This has been Neo Toy Story, once again exploring the unfathomable wonders of Second Life that's so often overlooked by mainstream game streamers because they just have no fucking idea how awesome Second Life is. And yeah, tell your friends, because like I have no audience really for these streams. I can't guarantee they'll always be as entertaining or as exciting as this stream was, but you know, I do my best. So yeah, take care, and see you all next time.